All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful weekend. Got the weekly candle close here in about 1.5 minutes. Just want to start this a bit early here. We got some price action going into the close. We got Ethereum trying to push through this 3,900 region. Weekly sitting on some major support after this this break to the top of the range here. Looks like S&P futures kind of gapped up 0.27% after Friday's whiplash, Thursday's whiplash, coming into some fair value gaps here. We filled one of the gaps here on the daily time frame, and a bit of a concerning weekly close, that's for sure, on the S&P. We could go up to maybe fill that wick, or it does look like a potential weekly reversal candle, but we'll keep an eye on that. You see the weekly kind of tick down here. Monthly still looks like it's got some room. But the weekly and the 2-week kind of look like they're going to maybe roll over on momentum. It's something to keep in mind. Okay, we don't have any real confirmation of anything just yet, especially if we're getting gap up here, bouncing off of major moving average there, and yeah, filling one of these gaps. It looks like we might have a couple gaps to fill on the S&P. Yeah. Well, that's the S&P. Looks okay for now. We didn't get any follow through on this potential, doji reversal candle here on the S&P, so that's good. Bitcoin just closing its weekly candle, and we did get a close here around 110, like 500. I don't really think we're in any. Okay, we start breaking the weekly Kijun line here, which is something to pay attention to. We are in what looks to be a rising wedge. No break of the rising wedge just yet. And we want to continue to monitor this, right? We're still making lower highs here since this high we put in October 6th. But it looks like we're just kind of ranging between 106 and 115 right now. That's a pretty tight range. No weekly stochastic RSI cross up here. We were hoping we would get that here on Bitcoin. This is kind of this signal that we would want to see if we're going to see continued upside. Our 3-day did give us a cross, though. So that's something to pay attention to. Maybe we get some bids off this range low here to pop us back up. Let's take a look at the tether chart, because I think that's pretty important to watch. And okay, so tether weekly candle. Okay, so technically not an engulfing candle. It's like kind of a stalemate candle here. We didn't take this candle out. We actually technically didn't take it out. It is opening up green here on the week. We can see that we're starting to maybe make higher lows. We haven't really produced a higher high since this liquidation event that happened a few weeks ago. Just something to continue to monitor here. And the thing that looks interesting to me is that the weekly momentum here on Tether looks like it wants to maybe roll over, right? We haven't got a confirmation of that on the weekly time frame. I think that's something to continue to monitor. We did tag on this liquidation event. We did tag the top side of the Bollinger Band. I just deleted that by accident. We did tag the top side of that Bollinger Band, and we have since not made new highs on Tether. The RSI is still ticked up here. It does have room to run, on the weekly time frame here. It's sitting around like what, a 59. If the market really is topped out, then this is probably going to continue to push higher. But I'm not really convinced of that just yet. And the reason of it being is we haven't really taken out any real major market structure on Bitcoin. If we throw on the Gaussian channel here, we can see on the weekly time frame, we haven't started making any closes inside the Gaussian channel. I should say we haven't done that yet. I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying that we haven't done that yet. And looks like we might just go sideways here a bit based off the kind of this. It's not really a SAR, but it's kind of a SAR trend where you can see every single time we kind of get deviations outside of it, we kind of fall back to the bottom of it. And we got a couple deviations here, and now we're just sitting at the range low. All right. So our trend's still intact. I have no reason to really be like, hey, we're entering into a bear market right now. Not until we really start breaking some key market structure where that kind of makes sense to be like, all right, it's over. And it's like, right around this like 103. If we really start putting candle bodies inside the Gaussian channel, I'm not talking about wicks. Like these were all wicks. I'm talking about here. Let's go back to last cycle. Right here. When we started putting candle bodies in right here, 1, 2, that was it. That was the end of the run. Okay. So that's just something I'm looking at. I don't see us in jeopardy right now. Even with this weekly candle close we just put in, we still have not put candle body closes inside of the Gaussian channel. All right. Cool. We can check out ICP. Yeah, sure. Wow, this thing is destroyed. Yeah, you got you got a reversal. What looks to be a reversal right at the range low from the 2023 lows, and you got a bit of a move up today. So that's good to see. You put in a nice weekly bullish engulfing candle. Nice. I would say you still haven't really shifted this trend yet. You're still, kind of rejecting that. But yeah, I mean, if you start to get bids here and this starts to really push, I would say above the $6 level, you could probably maybe swing this back up to the top of the range. All right. That would be like a macro, double bottom potential. Okay. It could also just end up getting rejected right here and then come down, make new lows. So just, kind of pay attention to that. You did get a clip here on the weekly. It's obviously very oversold. Yeah, it looks like you're probably going to get a wave up here. You can see the weekly kind of giving you a buy signal. So that looks pretty strong. Looks pretty strong. Another asset that looks strong to me is virtuals. The virtuals protocol, okay, on the monthly close last month, kind of hammer candle, and you're seeing continuation here on this asset right now. That's pretty strong when you see stuff like that. All right. You did just get kind of an early sell here on the weekly coming out of the band. So this might, end up consolidating here a bit, but your weekly RSI is not overbought. These stochastics are nice and ticked up here going into bullish control zone with a MACD cross up. And you had this nice bull div here with this definitely wick down like that. So I still think Ethereum here looks pretty solid. We went over this before. The fractal pattern on ETH looks very similar to what Bitcoin did last cycle. Let's go through it again. I know all the 4-year cycle people are, here, and they're saying the cycle is over. Cycle's over. I have nothing bad to say about any of that. I just I'm just looking at the charts, and if Bitcoin really breaks that uptrend, then sure, we could say that it's done. But for now, there's no real reason to say that stuff. Okay. Let's reiterate, what did Bitcoin do last cycle that ETH is doing right now? It looks almost identical. Almost identical to what Bitcoin did last cycle before something like that happened. Okay. Could rhyme or repeat that. All right. I don't think that that's out of the cards. There you go. QE begins in December. So we could see something like that happen starting in next month. Maybe we could see Bitcoin come down to 100K or something and test that, major 50-week moving average before it, resets itself. I mean, okay, we definitely have, bearish divergences on this chart. We definitely have a cross down that's impending right here. But you're at the bullish control zone area, and the weekly is oversold, right? And you could almost argue you got a bit of bullish divergence forming here on the weekly time frame. All right, you do. You even have it maybe on the weekly RSI. It's ever so slight, but it's there. All right. No break of structure yet. Well, this didn't break this rising wedge to the downside and back tested as resistance. They're definitely holding this thing up here, and I feel like if they were going to smash it, they would have already smashed it. Maybe I'm speaking too soon here, and then something like that happens this week. We're about to see what this is about to do. And that's fine, but you can see even the daily here is kind of ticked up here on the bands. And, making higher lows off the 40 region, the neutral territory. I'm remaining cautiously bullish this market right now. And you guys should be doing the same until given more information about where this is really going to direct us to. Okay. I know the S&P looks kind of scary up here. Does definitely look scary up here. But gapped up or went up here tonight. Definitely want to monitor what happens this week in the S&P here, and probably the NASDAQ. Same thing. Okay. Yeah, we can look at Trump coin. So yeah, long hammer candle. Right, you want to see follow through on something like that. Weekly in a squeeze. Giving buy signals. That says B for buy. No average sentiment cross just yet on the weekly. The 3-day here, you could start to see that. Oh, a 2-day cross bullish. Nice. So there you go. You're probably going to start to see maybe some higher lows come in here if this market remains bullish. All right. And Trump coin here kind of looking like it's trying to hold this range low here at 750. You got some moving average. This is an hourly chart. Go to the daily. Yep, you're sitting at support on the daily right now. You really want to get some daily candle closes above this 820 region and kind of hold that as support. And then you can work your way up to this 950 region, which is another major moving average up here. And then you got your first supply zone at 10 and then $12 up here. Trump coin. This 3-day candle wasn't really the best. You see these wicks here. Okay. Those wicks are not really good. Okay. No real structure on this coin, unfortunately. Just a long wick. Now you're hoping and praying turns into something. Turning to something good. Yeah, definitely oversold or near oversold territory, or coming out of oversold territory on the weekly. Yeah, still bearish, 34 reading, but this is kind of where you would maybe want to take a trade, I guess. So that weekly candle close. I would say that it broke this trend line, but you still need to get above these. This 850 region is probably going to act as resistance on it right now. You're in a pretty much a fair value gap here. And your next major fair value gaps are up here between, around this 850, and then your next weekly is around 12. And in this region here from 20 to 24 on the weekly time frames. That's really it. You just want to see if you can push through these resistance levels and reclaim them as supports. You got a big volume area here up to about $11, this order block. So if you could start, closing above this $11 region, you can, go and tag your next order block up here. We'll look at Zcash, HBAR, XRP. Okay. Wow. Yeah, Zcash, man. So any monthly candle closes above $500 pretty much points to almost $1,000 Zcash. And this is some straight down activity. I mean, if you got enough buying pressure to send this thing higher, then this thing can maybe go back up to some crazy number. I don't know if it's going to get all the way up there, man, but yeah. TTM is still firing here on the squeeze indicator. It's getting pretty extended up here. You got some, I'd be careful with Zcash. You got some weekly bearish divergence coming in here. I get that you're in a major move up. You're going to get those divergencies on something like this type of move. I wouldn't be wanting to buy this up here if that's what you're asking about after a move like that. This thing's up 20x since July of 24. That's nuts. Okay. XRP. Take a look at XRP. Yeah, trying to hold above this moving average here. Got some, looks like you're starting to put in some higher lows, right? You're not making higher highs, but you're starting to make higher lows. It's still within the range too, XRP. So I did have these Fibonacci targets plotted a while ago since this major 7-year pennant broke out. And I still think that those are potentially valid targets to come here in the future if this thing can hold its structure. After that retag there of that major weekly moving average at $1.40 on a liquidation event. It looks like it's trying to, hold itself here on the weekly. You are looking like you're impending an average sentiment oscillator cross back up. That's not confirmed or anything, but you might see some more sideways here on XRP. Right, it's trying to put a base in. That's what it looks like it's doing. You kind of flipped some of these major moving averages here. But in terms of price, I think it's fine. It's still making one low, two lows, third higher low. So if this thing can continue to be reaccumulated like this eventually, you are going to get these moves back up, and maybe eventually you do get that break. back into those price discovery regions on XRP. H bar. Look at H bar. So H bar kind of just sitting right at support, right at a fair value gap right here. You can see. We go to the weekly chart here. We could see we on that ETF listing, it had like a nice pump into this fair value gap region right here into this moving average. To me, this looks like a channel right now that has not broke out just yet. It's still holding above these major moving averages here. So you are below this one right now. And yeah, I mean, you could see that you made lower highs here, but you're starting to make higher lows too. So you have some compression going on in this chart, right? And if this market remains bullish, I don't really see why H bar wouldn't continue to trade higher. You also did get a weekly stochastic RSI cross. Now you haven't crossed the 20 line just yet, but this is kind of letting you know that this is in oversold territory on the weekly time frame. And if you do get some bullish momentum coming into this market, this could easily reverse its trend. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, this looks fine to me right now. Looks like it's just kind of consolidating after this move that it just made, came out of these range lows, tagged some resistance, pulled back a bit here, and it looks like it's trying to make higher lows or the same lows. Now, if you get rejected right here and you start taking out, 18 cents here, sure, I'd be a little bit more concerned about this just kind of going lower, okay? But just pay attention to what it's going to do right here. If it ends up coming back up to 21 cent region and, okay, it makes another lower high there, and it's just kind of consolidating in this range again, I would be monitoring this, because that is maybe telling you that it's possible, especially with that weekly ticked up, that it's building up energy for a move to break out of this channel. All right. Microsoft, sure, we can look at Microsoft. So Microsoft just came right back down to this major moving average here on Friday. Yeah, it's holding up here above the daily 200 moving average right now. Your daily obviously ticked down from this move down. The weekly here, yeah, it's not really the best candle on Microsoft on the weekly. But I don't know why you're asking me about Microsoft. I'm not buying Microsoft. Yeah, so if you want to short Microsoft, you can. You'd want to see a $500 break on Microsoft to really capture that double top that you're talking about. That hasn't confirmed its double top yet. Right? 500 bucks, 494. You got a fair value gap here at 488. And you'd be looking at like 468 on Microsoft. And if it really crashes, you're going to go fill this gap at $400. Why don't we look at NVIDIA, man? They're the leader. Not really Microsoft. So yeah, if NVIDIA rolls over, and even that weekly candle doesn't look that bad. How's the monthly candle? Monthly candle looks fine. That's not a bearish candle at all. On NVIDIA. VKTX SQQ. Okay. Viking Therapeutics. Oh, it looks like I charted this before. Yeah, so you had a, looks like you had a Garley set up here. There you go. You're getting the candling out right now. You got that hammer that printed on the monthly. And looks like your first major fair value gap here is around, like 43 to 47. I would be targeting the top side of this harmonic, 70 to 80 bucks on something like this. This monthly looks nice. Gold and SQQ, sure. SQQ is the inverse short for the NASDAQ. I don't know what you want me to say about this. Okay, so you got some... you probably always get bullish divergence on this thing because it just all it does is dump. Yeah, I don't know, dude. This is you trying to short the S&P or catch a pop on this stock intraday or something. S&P just gapped up. Not gapped up, but went up a bit. Futures market. So yeah, I would suspect this is probably going to go down until the S&P really decides to reverse its price action. Yeah, I mean, even if the S&P did pull back to like 672, how much would the SQQs really move? Would that be like worth your time to buy and hold that for however long it did that for? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, we can look at gold too. Gold looks like it is just trying to put some lows in right now after this big run up. Coming into some fair value gaps. I would say that weekly is giving you the sell signal on gold. All right, so gold probably trades lower from here after this kind of move. So yeah, let's look at the dollar index. So the dollar index on the weekly put a bullish engulfing in. It's coming into this resistance level here that I would say is probably a major level of resistance. All right, this stayed above this support level here for like the better part of 2 years, 3 years, and then broke down. And now it's going to try to reclaim this here. All right, yes, keep an eye on that. We did get a weekly cross up here on the dollar. Year momentum is already in the overbought territory here, so we'll see how powerful of a move the dollar can put in here. And like the high time frame, like the monthly chart. Yeah, you're starting to get some crossing down here on the monthly. So this could actually end up being a big move for the dollar if this pans out, which would obviously wreck all the risk assets. So, yep, definitely want to monitor this. And yeah, 102 region here on the monthly. It's probably where you're going to go if you end up breaking out of this 100 region. Can we cover everything? We also want to look at the the ISM, because the government's shut down right now, so they're not printing any of this data for us. But this is pretty important to look at. So we've had an ISM below 50 basically since our last bull market, crypto bull market. And every single time ISM goes above the 50 level, that's when we get these euphoric moves in crypto. Okay. Which is kind of why we haven't seen any real euphoria in crypto this cycle, because we have a lagging ISM. And it's just down here. And if this ever decides to tick up, which maybe it can, if the government ever reopens itself and puts this data out, that's when I think we're going to see some risk-on behavior. Anyways, let's continue to monitor that stuff. All right. Bitcoin dominance. Let's take a look at that. And just put a monthly candle close in. We rejected off this liquidation event. We rejected off that fib extension up there. So if we're going to be going into a bear market, if we're going to entertain that right now, then this should just continue going up, right? Altcoins shouldn't really have bids, and that's what should happen. If we're going to get a risk-on season for alts, then this should actually break down and a lot further down, like to maybe the bottom of this triangle that it's in. So maybe Bitcoin dominance does go up a bit to like 61, 62, maybe potentially something like that. And if we do get a risk on season, then maybe we do something like this. Let's carefully monitor it, because if this starts to break down, I think we're going to maybe see some alts run. So let's pay attention to that. And yeah, I mean, we can clearly see on the 3-week time frame that bullish momentum is being lost here on Bitcoin dominance, right? This is coming down. Bearish momentum picking up. This all points down. So yeah, we'll see how this plays. If this is just going to bounce here and go higher, then there won't be an alt season. And then maybe this just breaks out and all the alts just go to zero, man. Right? I don't know if that's really likely, though. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't make sense. How are the altcoins just going to all go to zero? Just think about that for a second. The ISM is in almost a 4-year downtrend, and the government shut down right now, so they can't even put out that information about what's happening with the ISM. I think as soon as that opens, we're going to start to see some action. That's just my theory. We'll see what happens with that. Bitcoin futures trading 111.60. Bitcoin spot trading 110.280. Okay. I think we're going to really find out what happens this week in the equities markets and really with Bitcoin. This is the week we're going to see it because with that S&P candle, the way it closed last week, if there's no follow through, then I think it's just going to go higher. And we'll get Coinbase, sure. Okay. So Coinbase. The weekly's trying to cross up here. All right. And your momentum on the weekly also looks good. You got a weekly stochastic RSI cross up. That's confirmed on the weekly. So yeah, you could be chopping around down here a little bit before you see some upside. I don't see anything really wrong with the structure that it's in on the weekly. Okay, yeah, you haven't made a new high since July, but you've been making these higher lows. All right, so you got a bit of compression going on here. All right, maybe some sort of triangle. Yeah, I mean, that's not the best monthly close there. Just looks like a very young chart. And it's in an uptrend. And you're holding above the Gaussian channel like Bitcoin. This was your April crash probably, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think Coinbase looks okay on the weekly time frame, monthly time frame. Yeah, the monthly still kind of ticks up here too. I would say it looks okay. As long as you continue to make higher lows, I think it's okay. SBET. Yeah, well, SBET doesn't look the best. This big pump candle right here that long wick into that major moving average here, you could see that we've just seen some down sloping consolidation since then. And you watch the volume, see how the volume's tapering here. It could be setting up for a buy if these range lows hold. I was always looking for this gap to fill at $7. If it does give you that gap fill before the earnings event or something, maybe you can get a nice move back up on SBET. I think has a lot to do with maybe ETH also moving SBET because they do own a lot of Ethereum. But yeah, I mean, overall, this stock is in a complete garbage downtrend. If I'm being honest about it, like this chart looks like crap. But you could, in theory, say that it's in this like flag still from this big move up. And if it can hold these higher lows, these regions here, maybe even fill the gap at $687 or whatever that gap is there. And as long as it's making higher lows than, $2-3 here a share, then you can try to trade higher. I'm not really seeing any really good things on this average sentiment oscillator other than maybe it's oversold on the weekly here, which could be good. That could be how you reverse the price action, right? Off these range lows after this major run up it had in volume kind of tapering. So we'll see how this pans out. MSTR, yeah. Let's take a look at that. Well, it put in a nice wick here on Friday. My concern with this chart is that it looks it looks like you got a range high that was put in here, and it is still within the bounds of this range. Now, if you start putting some high time frame candles taking out this range, you could be like, hey man, double top, right? Yeah, but it's got to really take this out and make candle closes below it to really then see further downside on it. Okay. And your monthly momentum is already almost oversold, right? Okay, no cross up yet. Your 3-week is oversold. Your 2-week is oversold. Your weekly is also oversold. All right. So if that starts to get bids this week, well, you know what's going to happen with MSTR. Your relative volatility index is in the gutter. It's in the red zone on the weekly. Yeah, I mean, if you're actually trading this, you could argue that maybe you want to set some buy orders down here at 243, 245 at the bottom of the. How do you check bullish divergence or bearish divergence on BTC? All right, so you can. I mean, I use this wave trend here. It's called the Alga Alpha wave trend ribbon. And, we started putting in some weekly bearish divergence here in August. And it took some time for that divergence to play out. Actually, this was the divergence that played out. In August, we got this move down. And then we pushed back up. What do you mean? No. Like on the RSI or on a stochastic or what? Volume spike from 1010. It was right here. 10.6, you mean? Or was it the 10th? Oh, yeah, right here. You can see it on the daily chart. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and the concern is still this, this tether chart, right? And we have some bearish divergence here, but it looks like it already kind of maybe played out. So yeah, we're about to find out what's about to happen right like this week, I would say. The fact that it's reclaiming this moving average here is a bit concerning, because this whole run it actually rejected it, and now it's reclaiming it. Okay. So something to continue to monitor, I would say. All right, that's pretty much it. You know what the deal is. And we're opening a red weekly here on the HA candles too. Yep. No CME gap. Well, that's it. We're at a teetering point right now, I would say. And if we start taking out these range lows and breaking them and back testing them as resistance, then you know what is about to happen. If this happens, then this happens. Pretty much. Okay? That's it. If we end up holding in here and we start reclaiming this stuff and we go sideways here, we have a chance at this happening. That's pretty much it. So continue to monitor this tether chart. I think that's going to really play a big role in how this plays out, and we actually really still kind of see, what's happening here. So hopefully up we go. Yes, hopefully. But just be prepared for not that happening. That's all I'm going to say. Be prepared for that not happening. Because all of this looks kind of weak on the high time frame like that. All right. And this looks like it's rolling over on the monthly chart. All right, folks, that's pretty much it. Hopefully we can consolidate up here and not get wrecked. Hold the line. We'll see how it pans out. Either way, I'm going to be here, whether we go up or down, doesn't matter. All right. appreciate you guys' time tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.
Hey everyone, you've landed on the Swing Trade Pros website here. My name is Mr. Know-It-All. I've been an active swing trader for over 7 years. I want to welcome you guys all to the community here. My goal is to change 1 million people's lives with swing trading and trading profitably. This is a skill set you can learn here with the service. You go check out the testimonials in Discord. You can see lots of folks talking about the service and how the trade calls are super profitable. You can check Profit Gains channel. I think we've amassed around $150,000 worth of profits in the last year posted in the Profit Gains channel just from other users and traders in the community. I'd like all of you guys to check out the 14-day free trial. A coupon code will be pinned in the comment section below this video, so check it out. And we'll take you through 14-day free trial process here. You come down to the website, save 44%, and claim your 14-day free trial. Click on that. And that will take you to the Swing Trade Pros website where you can click sign up now. And after your 14-day free trial is up, on the 15th day you will get billed, full disclosure of that. And I appreciate you guys all joining the community. It will change your lives. Give it a chance. A lot of these swing trades can take months. One of our biggest trades of the year last year was INJ. We took an entry at $1.60, and well, that asset's trading over $35 today. So that was one of the banger trades that I pointed out. My strongest pattern that I trade that I'm known for is the falling wedge. I call it the falling node wedge pattern. Lots of divergence on these charts, and that's what makes these patterns really play out. And you guys are going to be able to really learn that in the service, and I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys on the charts.